All right, it's 7:01. I'm Jeff Pravato. I'm the receiver of taxes. I know everybody hates me, but I just collect the money. I don't decide how much we get paid. I'm a glorified bill collector. That's it. But I'm going to help. I'm going to teach you guys how to pay less taxes. We do that by lowering our assessment. So we're going to run through a video, and we'll do some questions. I'm going to tell you some really good facts. People have come to me and you know, they come every year and say, wow, this was great. Last year I learned so much, and I want to come back and see if you got any more secrets this year. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have our controller, Elaine Phillips, is going to come in. She's going to have some facts. Have Robin Laveman here. She's from Nassau County. She's got some good insights dealing with ARC and everything like that. So there's some questions sometimes that even stifle me, and I know Robin can answer a lot of them. So we got a video we're going to run through, and I'll stop it from in certain sections and point out certain things, and we'll take some questions and stuff. And what we're going to do is when we do this, you got to give yourself time to sit down and really think about what you want to do. If you're going to just sit down for 5 minutes, grab a few comps and send it in, and people go, well, I don't get a reduction. Well, if you spend 5 or 10 minutes on it, you're not going to be able to. And people are like, well, when I give it to Maidenbound, PTRC, or anybody else, they get a reduction, because if they don't get you a reduction, what don't they get? They don't get paid. So, you know, they do the work to do it. So I tell people, when you do this, really you want to look at your house like you're buying it again and find out every reason why you don't want to buy your house again. Got to look at everything. And when we go through this thing, we're going to really dig a little deep, and there's a lot of stuff that people are like, wow, I never thought of that. So we're going to start the video, Nick, and we're going to run through it. And also the deadline at the end, we didn't update the video because about a day or two ago it came out. The deadline is now March 31st. It was March 1st? It was March 1st, now March 31st. The county executive has extended it to March 31st, so you got a little bit more time to get it done. So hit it, Nick.
Hi, I'm Town of Oyster Bay Receiver of Taxes Jeff Pravato, and today I'm going to walk you through how to grieve your home assessment online using the Nassau County Review Commission's Arrow application. You will need to access 2 different web pages. The first website
you don't have to write everything down. Everything's in the booklets that you have. When something has to be written down, I'll tell you.
Here, you can enter your address to access your tentative assessment based on the fair market value of your home, and is used to determine what your taxes are going to be. When entering your address, do not include street, avenue, road, etc. Just your house number, street, town, and zip code. Remember, write down and take note of your section, block, and lot number, because you will need it. This page will show you the market value of your home set by Nassau County Department of Assessment. In January, you should have received a notice of tentative assessment in the mail. If you did not receive it, you can see it here. On this page, you will see the tax impact notice. If you believe your home has been overassessed, you should begin the grievance process. To grieve your taxes, you must gather enough evidence to build your case that your home has been overassessed. You can review that by visiting the second web page, nassaucountyny.gov. Once here, please hover over Departments and click on Assessment Review Commission. Choose the tab on the left, Arrow, which is the Assessment Review Commission's assessment review on the web application. Next, you will need to register with ARC or log in if you already have a registration. Then log in or click to register. Once you have registered or logged into your account, you can begin to gather evidence to build your case. Your assessment is not based on the assessments of your neighbors' homes, but instead based on what the Commission believes is the fair market value of your home. Because of this, the evidence you are going to need will be based on the fair market home sales of homes similar to yours in areas similar to yours. Back onto Arrow, please choose the tab on the left, Sales Locator. What you'll be looking for are some home sales of homes that are comparable to yours. This includes square footage, lot size, school district, zip code. Once in the sales locator, please enter your address again. You will then see in the property search.
So when you do these things, you have to get the sales that are in your school district also. Make sure there's some people that are on the border of, say, Plain Edge and Massapequa. You have to get them that's in your school district. And you have to you can't like take a comp of, you know, a 1,200 square foot ranch when you have a 3,000 square foot colonial. So it has to be the same kind of style and everything on the house. School district, yeah. Yeah. Yep, exactly. Having a basement make a difference in living space? In what?
In valuation of the home.
No, basements aren't included, right? Or they are or they not? If they're finished? Finished basement with permits.
What they do is very often they'll look at houses listed for sale.
Come up here, Robin, so we can,
They'll look at houses listed for sale. Can you all hear me? I don't know.
yeah, just speak. We're doing it, Robin, by the microphone because we're doing the live.
Oh, okay. When they look at what you submit, they're looking for comparables. So if you have a full finished basement and the comps you're putting all have unfinished, you know, just plain basements, then it's something that they would come out as not being comparable. You just want to have about, you know, for purposes of square feet and living area, they don't count the basement. But it's just a matter of, you know, say you renovated your kitchen and you have a brand new kitchen and the comparable you're using has the original kitchen from 1950, that's the kind of thing that they're going to look at. Number of bathrooms.
Yep.
Not number of bedrooms as much as number of bathrooms. And number of bathrooms, square foot, and style of the house are probably three of the most important things.
Yep.
And school district, though, if you go out of this, we don't care, you know how you can have several zip codes for one school district? Zip code is not relevant, but
School
must
district,
be in the same school district.
Right. You can't pick out comps from like Roosevelt for Massapequa.
Then all your comps should not
Not
have a
have
basement.
basements, correct. If
Right.
you're on a slab, then the comp should have slabs.
Right, because otherwise you'd be putting more value.
Exactly. Go ahead, Nick.
Search box, your parcel ID pop up. Click on that. This will take you to a page with your property's information. Double check that everything is correct on this page because this is what they will base your assessment on. On the left, click on the button that says Find Sales. This will find sales of homes that are comparable to yours. You will now see your list of comparable home sales. Look for sales of homes as similar to yours as possible, comparing lot size and square footage, which sold for less than what your home has been assessed at. This is the evidence you will use to provide the commission that your home has been overassessed. Choose whichever home sales you'd like to use as evidence by checking them off in the second column. Once you've chosen all the home sales you would like, click Continue on the bottom. You will then see the sales information of all the comparable homes you checked off and the information about your home listed all together. Continue on to see the averages of your comparable home sales compared to what your home has been assessed.
All right, so this is the part where we had some new information come out a couple of years ago that we found out what the big companies do. There's a ratio that they use because people like, you know, these slides are about 4 or 5 years old, but there's, yeah. Nick, can you go back one screen?
So
Yeah.
the system, when you pick which houses, the system's going to generate, this is called the CMA, Comparative Market Analysis for you. Now, look, if you see on the, we can't see it because it's paused. On the bottom, it's going to show you how it adjusts for the different, you know, if it's, the lot area on the subject is 8,000, but then you see the two houses away, the lot size is only 6,000, and the last one, you'll see the lot size is only 5,000. So the system adjusts. So I would, when it generates this, look at it. If you think that it's really not matching up enough, go back. See if there are other sales that you think are better, and remove the ones that don't match as much and put in different ones. You can play around with this system. You don't have to rely on what the first thing is. So for example, living area, gross living area is very important. That's essentially the living area of your home. And so on the subject, it says 1,342. That's your house, the subject. But, you know, the sale number 2 goes as low as 1,050. That's 300 square feet, smaller than your house. So, you know, you might want to play and go back and say, oh, well, what if I check this one? How will it be? What if I check this one? Because you can go back and forth, add, subtract, before you submit anything. So it gives you that flexibility.
How do you go back?
Well, after it generates, you just go back to the screen before where you clicked.
So you go arrow back?
Yeah, yeah. And if you ever have any questions, the Assessment Review Commission has people that can answer it. If you just go down to 240 Old Country Road, they're on the 5th floor.
Yeah, so, here, hold on to that. And so there's a ratio, when I said there's be like one thing you're gonna write down, you're gonna write down this ratio. So last year, it was point triple zero 60 was what they were using. So what you're gonna do is your assessed value, which you had on, which everybody got, like mine is 675. So you divide that by point triple zero 60, which was last year's number. They haven't really come out with any. We think this year it'll probably be 00058. You divide your assessed value by that ratio, and it'll give you a market value, like a value of like real market, almost real market value now. Because people are like, I can't find, you know, my house is assessed at, you know, 550 or something. There's no sales anywhere in my neighborhood. They're all for $1 million. Because when you do that math, so mine's 675. If I do the math, it comes out to like $1.2 million something. Now you'll be able to find some real sales that are less than $1.2 million. That's what the big companies have been using over the years. So it's your assessed valuation divided by that ratio. And that's how you're gonna get your sales. So it's probably gonna be about point triple zero 58 is what I would go with this year, Robin.
It hasn't
Yeah.
been, that was my suggestion.
Yeah.
It hasn't been determined yet. So it's a negotiation
Yeah.
that goes on. They do studies to see, and just for a little simple understanding of why we do this. The assessor publishes at 0.01%. And that's why if you look, you'll see very often, well, if we went back a couple of things, when you get your letter, you'll see that what they're deeming your market value is just a couple decimal points bigger than what your assessed value is. The number looks the same. But as we all know, right now is a seller's market. The sales are crazy. And the assessor has a frozen roll because of this crazy market. So when sales prices go up, but your assessed value stays the same, it results in a need for this ratio. I mean, I keep a cheat sheet next to my desk. I've been doing this for 14 years, but I still keep a cheat sheet next to my desk because it gets a little confusing. And I saw the look on everybody's face when Jeff started talking about ratio. So your assessed value, as Jeff explained, divided by ratio gives you fair market value. The converse of that is you can take the fair market value of your home, you know, your neighbor sold for $800,000, and multiply it by ratio, and that will give you what you think your assessed value should be. It cuts both ways, and that makes it a little easier to understand if you play with the numbers.
Right.
But unfortunately, we can only guesstimate ratio. I can tell you it will be below 0.600060 because that's what we're using now. And just for your understanding, the ratio changes. If you do not settle with the Assessment Review Commission and still feel you're entitled to a reduction, you can file a SCAR, Small Claims Assessment Review, where you go, it's like with a hearing officer in the courthouse, but the ratio changes. Like for this year, it was 0.60 at ARC and 0.62 at SCAR. The premise being that they want to motivate the settlement at ARC. They give you a better deal if you settle at ARC.
Yeah, and you get about, what, three-quarter, they're usually about three-quarters at a time, side with the resident, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
pretty often. And just one thing I always tell people, because you mentioned the different firms and all that. I was the chairperson of the Assessment Review Commission for 10 years. And I can tell you this, the staff, when they review it, and the computer system, when they review it, don't know if that application is from you or from Maidenbound. The whole point is we try to make it fair and honest, so they're not getting a better deal. The only difference is the reps might know, well, I should take that or I shouldn't take that, or I should try to counter with this or that. They might know how to handle the offer, but not necessarily, the Assessment Review Commission won't handle your file any differently than Maidenbound's.
Right, they don't know who submits it.
I feel like I was 11 minutes late and I missed the most important part of the thingy, the equation, that, you know, you said that's.
Yeah, I wish I could put this up, so I have it written down. If you see me afterwards, I'll let you copy it off of my little cheat sheet.
Yeah.
But it's very simple. Your assessed value divided by whatever that ratio is equals fair market value.
And that'll give you the higher
Converse.
sales
The converse is fair market value
times.
multiplied by ratio will give you what your AV should be.
Right.
So you can play around with that to see, you know what your neighborhood is selling for. That's the most important thing, is sales.
Yeah. Yes,
Do they do the same calculation when it's new construction? Because when I called around, they told me that they just use some other method to calculate the value.
oh, to calculate your taxes when you have new construction?
Off from that formula.
No, I mean, everything is based upon market value, quite frankly. In New York State, we're not allowed to do what we call sales chasing. The assessor can't assess based upon what your house sold for. They have to assess like an appraiser would appraise it, not the actual sale price. It's illegal for an assessor to do that in New York State. So what they're going to do is there's a cost approach to appraisal. There are various ways to determine what is the appropriate market value for your house, not your sales price.
You're saying it's for new construction.
Yeah, I understand. Well, new construction, if you purchase new construction, but it's all based upon market value. Everything that the assessor does is based on market value. What would your house sell for if you were going to be selling it? You know, sometimes people used to come to the Assessment Review Commission and say, it's not fair, I deserve a reduction. And I'll say, okay, your house is assessed at $500,000. If you went to sell it, would you get Oh, I'd get $700,000. Well,
There you go.
that answers the question. So you really have to think long and hard about what the market value of your home is. Right now, it's crazy. The market is absolutely crazy when you look at sales prices. Just so you understand, my prior life was a real estate attorney. So this is my bailiwick, and but right now, sales prices are absolutely crazy, and thus, that's the reason why we need to have ratio. So right now, you can play around till they determine what market value is, what ratio is. Right now, you can play around with 0.60, which it is now, or maybe 5.8, that they would be going down to.
Yeah. Nick, you want to skip up a little bit on the video so we can run it through? Yeah.
How recent should the sale prices be?
1 year, within 1 year.
But that's what should be coming up
Yeah.
initially, because, the sales are put in by the assessor's office, so, and the county, through the county clerk, so they have the sales that way. You want it to be within a year, you can play a little bit but it can't be too old, because once again, it's been a rising market.
Yeah, and also if you know, like my neighbor's house I know Tom's house just sold 2 blocks away from me, the same house for X amount of dollars, like 2 weeks ago it just closed, they might not have the information yet. When we get to the other facts, you can always put that sale in on the other
On your
facts.
own.
Yeah. On-
It does get published on the Assessment Review Commission website once it's done. You know how Jeff showed you in the beginning, you go to Nassau County and then go to the site Assessment Review Commission. On the left-hand side, there's frequently asked questions, and on there, there is a section that says assessment valuations, and it will have the ratio in it. Like right now, if you went to it, I actually printed it out, if you went to it now, it would tell you what 26-27 was. That's not a help to you, because that's for last year, but it will show.
Gives you an idea of where they're gonna be.
Right, well, it's what they were last year. There's also, I just printed it out just to have, there's also that the Assessment Review Commission puts out, and it's on their front page, a little guide, how to appeal your assessment. I printed it out off of the website. You can just read it, but it is something that gives you information. It also gives you a calendar of the dates relevant. The most important one, though, is the due date is no longer March 1st, it's March 31st. The county executive got you a little more time. There you go, that's it. Oh, Elaine had it.
Yeah.
Our wonderful controller.
I was saying that that's what the companies do. Which companies? The grievance companies?
Yeah.
What do they do?
The-
This is a
The ratio that we're giving you. Yes.
You get the same thing that they get. You're
Yep.
not treated any differently.
Any different.
I have a quick question. So say my assessed value is 500,
Yep,
right? You divide it by, if it's 0.00058.
Yep.
Say that's the
Yep.
number, equals the fair market value.
Right.
Then you said you do the fair market value times.
Well, that, you don't have to do that. It's just showing the converse. It's just the way you could, if, for example, your neighbor's house sold for 800,000, and so you want to say, oh, well, what would that be, what would my assessed value be at that market value? So you can compare apples to apples. Then you would take that 800,000 that they sold and multiply it
By the
by the
ratio.
0.00058, and that would give you the assessed value.
right.
Okay, so I don't need to do that on the
No.
website?
No.
I don't have to do the times the
You
ratio?
don't have to do any of that on the website. That's just.
It's all,
for
it's
how
all
do
your hand, that's how you
do
find out the,
How do you pick your comps?
that's how you pick your comps, exactly, because you're gonna look
You
in
don't
like,
have to do
all
that.
these comps that are on my house is like $1.2 million, $1.3 million, and they got my house assessed at,
Well,
$675.
that's the problem,
Yeah.
because if you go right now onto the Assessment Review Commission website, or mynassauproperty.com, you're gonna see your house very low, and you'll be like, how can I file a grievance? It doesn't make any sense. However, it's because of ratio.
Right.
So when you do the math for ratio, you'll see your house is not, 400,000, your
No.
house is assessed at 800,000, or whatever the number might be.
So I. but-
So you're doing that just for your own knowledge.
Okay, that has nothing to do with that, because I remember timing it by something else to get my assessed value.
Right,
Yeah,
the ratio.
That's the ratio.
Right.
So the ratio, how do I get that?
Well, right now, I said it's 0.60 for last year.
All right, so I
And-
divide it by that and then times it, the fair market
No.
value?
You can look at your AV, go to the website, or if you have the letter that the assessor sent out in January, either way, and say what your assessed value is. Your assessed value is 500. And so you're gonna divide that by the ratio, and you'll see that instead of your house being worth 500,000, in reality, with ratio, your house is worth 800,000.
And then you
Then
find
you're gonna look
sales
for sales at
below
800,000.
800,000.
You're not gonna look for sales at 500,000.
I got you.
Right.
Okay.
All right, we'll just run through the rest of the video here. Nick, go ahead.
Comparable home sales compared to what your home has been assessed at. Based on this information, you can choose to submit an appeal and begin the grievance process. When you choose to submit an appeal, you will be prompted to choose what the property type is. Once you choose the property type, you will then be prompted to fill out the grievance application. Part A will ask for your general information. Part B will ask you what you believe your assessment should have been. Part C will ask representative type. If you are filing for yourself, just put yourself. Part D is the property information. Once you fill out the basic property information, you can scroll down to the box titled Other Facts. Here, you can add any additional reasons as to why you believe your assessment should be reduced. Things like stop signs, speed bumps, new commercial properties nearby, and anything you believe would lower the value of your home can be included here and taken into consideration. If you recently refinanced your house and the appraisal is less than your assessment, you can scan that and include it as well.
So this is the part where I talked about, this is where you're gonna do your homework. You're gonna look at your house, you're gonna see if there's railroads, if you can see the railroad, you can hear the railroad, if there's a school up the block from you. or right close to you. When there's school buses let out, take a video of it. If there's parents parked in front of your apron, take pictures of it. I always say more is better. And if they say, you know what, that doesn't mean anything towards it, then they just say no. I say give them everything you got. Commercial properties, if you can see the mall from your house, if you live by a sump, commercial properties, anything, if trucks come rolling by your house, if your street floods, if your neighbor's house is falling apart, your house.
Firehouse.
Yeah.
Near the firehouse.
Near the
Siren.
Right, you would think like that would be a good thing, but it's, who wants to sit there hearing the fire? If you're by the train, you're hearing the train rolling by every day. You could see the train. Anything like that, all that stuff. Like you have a stop sign on your corner. A lot of times that's a negative, especially if you're on a T. They come, they stop, the lights go in your house, all that kind of stuff. Traffic lights, all that stuff.
You're saying to take pictures of that?
Take pictures of everything. You make a PDF. And then I think at the end, Robin, there's a spot where you can load up a PDF if you can, because that other fax only has so many characters you can fit in there.
You have someone that's not as technical, then that you can just also mail it in
Yeah.
and say, to supplement my application.
Yeah.
You can also submit this on paper.
Yes.
The Assessment Review Commission does have paper applications for those that are not computer
Yeah.
savvy.
We've had a couple of people that just, they can't use the computer, they want to do it
Right.
on paper.
Somebody built a Taj Mahal next to your house, and their house is so big, it's blocking all my sunlight.
That's it. Yeah. And you look at your house too, like your house, like they're assessing your house, looking at, they're not going in your house looking at it. If you got pink tiles and black tiles in your bathroom from 1950, and your kitchen has olive green and yellow and stuff in it, if it's not, that's the stuff that's, the same house down the block could have, all updated stuff, and they have an assessment lower than you because they're taking a house like yours that was sold to a builder, right? So, and you got to remember, people are thinking, well, if I pay less, the school district, or they're going to lose money. It's not. Like we always say, Elaine's going to come up here and tell you in about 2 minutes after we run through the rest of this video, and she's going to run through a little thing and tell you about who's assessing and who doesn't assess right after that. So I'm just going to let Nick run through the rest of this video, and then have Elaine come up for 5 minutes. Nick, just run through the rest of the video.
Part E, you can add any additional home sales you know of that you think will help your case that were not included in the original comparable list when you search through the sales locator. Part F will ask for you to sign and submit your application. And that's it.
It's March 31st now, not March 2nd. They just told us 2 days ago.
Do your research and homework and include as much evidence as possible to file a successful appeal. If you have any more questions, call the Nassau County Assessment Review Commission at 516-571-3214. Thank you and have a great day.
All right. I'm now going to bring up, I want to bring up Elaine Phillips, our Nassau County Controller. She's going to go over a bunch of things about assessment also. It's some good stuff that she has, so.
Thank you, Jeff. You have a great receiver of taxes. Robin being here from the Assessment Review Commission, you're a lucky bunch. And my guess is they will not leave until they have answered all your questions. So as Jeff said, I'm Elaine Phillips. I am the Nassau County Controller. Basically, I'm the fiscal watchdog of Nassau County. You just reelected me. Thank you. I'm honored to serve. But I'm going to start kind of for 2 minutes so you understand why it's so important that you're here tonight. But first, I'm going to tell you, 2 years ago, my husband and I did not grieve. I got one of these packets from Jeff. I sat in a review like this. I went home. I forgot most of which he said, but I had my little packet beside me, and every one of your county legislators, you have this up on your website.
We have it up on the website.
Up on the website. The first time I did it, it took me an hour. It really did. And I got scared, but I figured it out. Last year, it took me a little less. I just grieved my assessed value on Sunday. Took me 10 minutes. I already had a login. I actually saved my login. Are my comps the best? I don't know. But I picked ones that I thought were comps right on that sales locator that made sense. So I did, took my assessed value, divided it by 0.000. I used 5.8, maybe, and I even used a little lower. And I figured out what my fair market value was. Then I went to that sales locator and I found two, but it was two, same school district, same kind of lot size, and they were lower than mine. So I put it in there and we'll see what comes out. But I tried. And probably the most important thing we can say to you is Nassau County cannot harm you by trying. We may deny. It may say, sorry, our data has gotten so much better over the last 4 years, and other homes are selling right where your fair market value is. We may lower it, but we cannot raise it. So what's the risk? The risk is an hour of your time or 15 minutes of your time, but it is worth it. The other thing I say, and Robin and Jeff may already have said it, you can do this yourself. You do not need an attorney, or you do not need a grievance company. We do a lot of analysis in the controller's office, and we did this. We were trying to explain to people, what does it mean when it says taxes shift? What does that mean? So I'm going to assume for tonight you all live in the Oyster Bay, East Norwich School District, and some of you may, but it just gives you an example. So in this school district, 50% of you grieve, 50% of you don't, okay? And I want you to think of a pizza pie, because I think the visual will help you. There are about 386,000 homes in Nassau County, plus 150,000 businesses. And Nassau County has to raise about 20% of our budget comes from property tax. We have to raise $800 million. We have not raised taxes over the last 4 years. So all of us get a little slice of that $800 million, little slice of that pie. This side, we all have a democratic right to grieve our assessed value. This side grieves, and they actually grieve successfully. They've proven that their home is assessed too high. The rest of us don't grieve. Well, it's still one pizza pie. Nassau County still has to raise $800 million. So the little less of a slice they get, our slice becomes bigger. Now, if it was pizza, that's a good thing, right? Does he like pizza? He likes pizza. But in this case, it's taxes. So on average, it's about $70 that you pay as a non-grieving side of the room on county tax. Here in Oyster Bay, because your home values are bigger, it's actually, $112. Town taxes, town of Oyster Bay. So the town of Oyster Bay's pizza is a little smaller than the county, but they still have to raise, let's say,
It's 300.
$100 million. You all agree successfully. We all live in the town of Oyster Bay. You don't grieve, or you were unsuccessful, so your slice of that pie becomes bigger. But I don't live in Oyster Bay. I live in the town of North Hempstead. So when you grieve successfully and it goes down and Oyster Bay doesn't raise its taxes, your township doesn't come on to me. The only shift in town taxes is the town I live in. So that gets more pronounced when you get to school districts. Your school taxes are almost 70% of what you pay. And look, we have a young man who's stuck here tonight listening to all this. And I think our school districts do an amazing job, but they're expensive. And for my age group, we have to stay engaged with our school districts because so much of our taxes go there. So let's all assume we live in the Oyster Bay, East Norwich School District, but I don't, okay? You grieve, your assessed value, it goes down. For once, the school taxes don't go up. You know, they seem to always go up.
They don't go up 2%.
Yeah. But say they don't. So the money they have to, the pie stays the same. It shifts over onto you. It doesn't shift to me. Within a school district, you're just shifting amongst your neighbors that live in that school district. So the shift, the piece of pie becomes greater. And in Oyster Bay, this is one of the highest I've seen. The shift, on average, for 24-25, because that's the latest data I have, was $635.
Wow.
So those of you that don't try to grieve your assessed value, you're potentially leaving money on the table, and you're picking up your neighbor's school taxes pretty much. So I'm just going to end to say, it's our democratic right. There is nothing that any government can do, any level government in New York State. We have the right to grieve our assessed value. So do us a favor, and please, try it. Try it. If you get stuck, you're going to call Jeff. You're going to call the Department of Assessment. You're welcome to call me. My phone number's all over that red bag. We'll send you to the right person. But I wish you luck, and I'm telling you, it's not as hard as you think it is.
So are you supposed to do this every year, or?
Yes.
And the reason you have to do it every year, there was a reassessment done in 2019-20 tax year. So it was done, but it hadn't been done for a long time. So prices went all over the place. So they phased in your taxes. The phase-in just ended. So the roll has been frozen for the last 5 years. So every year it pops. So say you lower it from 500 to 480. It's not a lot, but it's something, right? Something. Next year, when you get that tentative assessed value, it's going to say 500 again. So, you'll grieve again, but you don't have to use somebody. Why pay them when you could do it yourself?
And Elaine, I think before you were here, I shared with everyone, having been at the Assessment Review Commission for 10 years, the employees that do the work and the computer system that does the work doesn't know whether it's a
I heard
native
it.
bound or if it's
That is so important because there are all kinds of misinformation that is floated around by some newspapers that sometimes can be biased, saying that you will be treated better if you use one of these tax grievance companies. And you're hearing it right from ARC. They don't know. And in fact, I've heard Jeff say this before. You know your home better than some big company. They're just mass grieving. You know if they're double yellow lines. You know if there's a stop sign. You know if you can see them all out your backyard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who do we file with? Do we file with the town of Oyster Bay or with Nassau County?
This is the Assessment Review Commission in Nassau County. Everything's through Nassau County because Nassau County does your assessment.
When you hit submit, it will automatically go to the county. Yeah.
When does the shift occur? So if you have a pizza,
Yeah.
the budget.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the budget.
Yeah.
And X% of people grieve. Now, if the percent is high, 99%, that 1% is not going to pay all the taxes.
99% never grieve.
Yeah. But it's getting higher.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because then they would be, if the budget was $1 million, then one guy would be paying $900,000 and everybody else would be paying
So about
the rest.
Right.
55% grief.
There must be factors that keep that from happening, right? Is there a fixed number of grievances that
No. Anybody can grieve. Everybody can grieve, but nobody, it's always,
approved somehow, right? You get approved or denied.
Right.
Well, if you're encouraging everybody to grieve, but if everybody grieves,
everybody's
and
not.
they had a case, then it couldn't be that everybody got their grievance approved, because then there wouldn't be enough to make the pizza, right?
Well, the county
Well,
pays.
let me say it this way. So if everyone, say market values, and they have gone up 5% this past year, okay? Everyone grieves. The answer is everybody's going up. So everyone will get denied. And mathematically, I'll explain some other day. The more people grieve, the less the shift's going to happen.
Possible that your assessment is fair.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And our data is getting better and better and better. Years ago, the data was bad.
It's also possible that you don't care if it's fair or not, and you're just gonna push the grievance, and maybe you'll get approved anyway, and then your fair taxes will go to the poor people who aren't computer literate or whatever, and then don't do the grievance. Whereas their case is probably better because they're such poor people, they probably have a better case than you
Yeah.
do.
And it's important to know, as Elaine said, my brother lives in New Jersey. I've been in this assessment world for many years. He doesn't file a grievance. Why? Because in New Jersey, if you go, they can raise you.
Yeah,
In
see?
New York State, that cannot happen. Additionally, there's more protection. Except if you do physical work at your house, an assessor can never raise your assessed value more than 6% a year or 20% over 5 years. So you're protected.
We're getting in the weeds. It's frozen. It's frozen, sure.
They're encouraging you not to go to lawyers, basically, because then you get more from that pie back to you.
Exactly.
And that's the point of this whole.
Yeah, because
So
they take a percentage of what you save.
When we did this analysis, we actually have a dashboard, but it's never been audited, so I don't release it. But my head of HR said, look at my house. I used XYZ company. So she grieved successfully that year. Her taxes, on average, went down $500 versus that school district. Guess what? That tax grievance company estimates how much you're going to save. They charged her $400. She already paid by the time she knew what her taxes were going to be. And it's just the way the calendar works.
The delivery boy took a slice of the pizza.
Do it yourself.
That's exactly what
Do
it
it
is.
yourself. Go ahead.
One last question. So, will the sites save your information in case you get a headache and want to come back?
Yeah, up until the deadline, no, you can go back. You can keep going back. If you find out some more stuff, and always save, like, I know people, like, I have on a PDF right here, I save it every year. If I have new stuff, I add it in, and I just submit it again. So that's why, like, Elaine does it in 10 minutes now, because she has all her stuff ready to go.
I don't know how well I do. But I'll tell you that sales locator pops right up, gives you all the comps. You did your division, you know you're looking for comps lower than your fair market value. You click on them, you go to the next page, like Jeff showed you, they pop right up.
Talking about costs. So what if you find houses that are 3 times bigger than yours that are assessed 10 times lower?
Has to be the same square footage, same style,
Yeah, but,
same amount of bathrooms and all that stuff.
but you would think a bigger, fancier house than yours.
Has to be the same style house as yours.
But remember what I said, 6%, so it's
Right.
very possible they might have done, you know, the assessor hasn't been able to get to that market value.
Or it could have been a junker, you know?
But the best thing about this system, Arrow, that if you do it online, the assessment review commission will then communicate with you directly. You'll get an email saying, the assessment review commission has sent you a message or whatever, so if they want to make an offer to you, you'll just get it right through the system, and it'll be right there.
And Robin, what is it, 4 or 5 months by the time you get, to get an answer from?
It depends on.
The volume?
Every year is
Yeah.
different, but, the assessment review commission has almost a year to resolve everything.
You may not adhere to them till,
Yeah,
wait, I'm gonna take you, but I'm coming back.
The 6% cap, now, is that, does that have to do with the new construction homes as well?
No.
Those
I want you-
No.
ranches
If
that are-
there's a physical change, the 6% doesn't apply. So in other words, if there was construction or renovation or anything else, because the assessor, say you add a bathroom, the assessor's allowed to increase you for that bathroom.
bathroom,
And the assessment office gets all the building permits.
We get, that's exactly. So in the old days, they were way backed up on getting those village or town permits. Now it's flowing, which is a good thing because it says the data is good data now. It's good data. I'm gonna let that go, and we won't forget you.
So how do we know if we get approved or denied?
An email.
You'll get it.
Yep.
And ultimately, you'll get a letter at the very.
Yeah, at the very end, you get a letter, an offer letter, and then you can do whatever you.
As far as the SCAR process, is there a limit to the reduction? I understand it's only can be reducted by 25%.
No.
No? So the reduction can be anything?
Yep.
I don't have to go to Supreme Court?
No. SCAR, after SCAR, that's it.
So the SCAR process can actually reduce it?
Mhm.
My
The
house is
SCAR has a limit.
like
The
moved
SCAR is limited to 25% reduction. A hearing officer can only do 25%, but not ARC.
ARC, yeah.
ARC can do,
Art can do anything?
yes.
Go ahead.
So let's say your house values, for example, let's say 650, and then after doing all this equation math that you said, let's say the comps are coming out to 800, 900, 1 million, so you should pick up those comps of 800,
Whatever's lower,
lower than your house value?
correct.
Lower than your fair.
Market value. So now you're doing the math, right? So when I do 675, or mine's 676 versus, I do the math, it comes out to like 1,278,000. I'm gonna look for sales now, 1,200,000, 1,100,000, 1,115,000, of those kind of sales right there. You find some, and sometimes you find some good ones, even lower than that.
Take your assessed value, divide it by .000.
5.8,
5.8.
5.8 we're gonna use.
Yeah,
He's talking about would be in his school district.
Correct.
yes.
What if you live in a school district where everybody has sold their nice houses that you live in, right? Because you're old, to,
I'm old.
no, not you.
Oh, like I'm old. Wow.
I
Everybody tells me I look like I'm 25, 30 years old. I'm 58. Oh, okay.
What if you live in a district where, you know, for some reason it's a desirable district and everybody has, who lives in a house like yours, because maybe their kids have grown up and, you know, they're not district anymore, so they sell and then a bunch of McMansions pop up and they're nothing like your house at all.
You gotta hope. You gotta try to find those. You gotta try to find those the sale before the McMansion that they bought. That's what. So I'll give you within a year. Like, so I'll give you an example. I got my assessment down so much is my house. I do real estate also. Two houses away from me. I sold the house there. I mean, the guy was a hoarder. It was a piece of garbage. Same size lot, same square footage, same style. Yeah, you know, I sold the house for $635,000. Now the guy did it, and it's worth $1.4 million now, or $1.5 million probably. But you know, I was able to use the comp of the sale of the original house.
And don't keep the exact year.
Yeah.
If it's 13 months, it's
Yeah.
not a big deal.
My
Especially if
comps
you find the comps, you know.
And you don't have to put comps in either. You don't have to if you.
You can submit essentially a blank application.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is.
No, but if you can't find the comps and you put all this other stuff in.
But the most important thing is whatever number you ask for reduction to be, that's the key number, because if for some reason you go to court, you file a SCAR after a small claims assessment review, the court can never reduce it below that number that you put in your ARC application a year before.
Right.
So that's a very
Right. And what I said before is like when they say you put in what you think your assessed value should be. Listen, if you're 650 and you put 300 in there, it's not realistic. You have to put like a realistic number, or they're just going to say denied. Sir, you had a question back there.
There's no minimum or maximum number of comps you can use?
5? Was it 5? The system will allow for 5, but you can always in the other section, other facts, you can add comps in there. Like I said, if you knew of a comp that was, you know, sold 3 weeks ago that closed on, they don't have the data yet, print out the Zillow, you know, sheet and send it in on the other facts. Yep.
I only found 2.
She only found 2 on
So
hers, yeah.
There was nothing else.
But like we said, do the homework. Like, look at your house, look at the area, look at every reason why you would not want to buy your house again. That's all. Like, high power, you see the high power tension wires that run through all the time? You know, when they say, what did you live on the high power tension wire as a kid? You know, when the crazy ones, that's the stuff you put. You know, put those on there. Who wants to live on the high power tension wires these days? Who wants to live by, you know, a water treatment plant?
Or if you live on the South Shore and your street gets flooded every
Yeah, that's what I said, when it gets flooded.
You need to think of all those negatives.
Yep, all the negatives. Let's,
I'm sorry, once
Go ahead.
you pick those higher comps, let's say, like what you were saying, that the other houses that you pick, and they're coming more than yours, so.
you gotta pick lower than yours.
You gotta pick
Lower than yours, lower than yours.
right.
Lower than, yeah, because you're trying to lower yours, you're trying to lower them.
Lower assessed value.
No, well, it will be a lower assessed value when you have the fair market value, do the reverse math, it'll give you a lower assessed value. Correct.
Yes.
Right, so when you do,
Comps come up, it'll be market value.
correct.
So you want to figure out what your fair market value is, and you want to find comparable homes lower.
Lower.
So you can tell ARC, you have me assessed.
Too high,
Correct. Think of it that way.
yes.
Is the age of the house important? Is it part of the criteria?
It's, what is it, Rob, is it the age of the house? I mean, it's more like it's the age of the house, if the age of the house is that nothing been done to it for 50 years, yeah.
In that extra other that
Yeah.
Jeff pointed out to you, that's where you say, original kitchen.
Yeah, that's a-
original
yeah.
bath, because the reality is, nobody's going into, the assessor doesn't go in the house, the assessment review commission doesn't go in the house, so you're pointing out and saying, well, I have all these cops, and then on top of it, I'm having original bathrooms,
Yeah.
original kitchens,
Yeah.
That's
the original
good for you.
carpeting. You know,
But-
the roof needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like, if you look at my house, it said it was built in 1955, but it wasn't. It was the original house, but I'm using this, I use the same foundation, kept up 3 walls, but it was all redone in 2001, expanded from a cape to a Center Hall Colonial. No, same style houses, right. Right, you could have a 2026 house that's a Center Hall Colonial, 3,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and you find some piece of garbage that sold, same style house, same square footage, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, there's your comp.
How did you pick up the comp that you said you sold, but if that's something new has built? So how can you pick up the old comp?
Because the comp's on there. It was still on there. Yeah, yep, exactly.
The information hadn't come into the system.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So this grievance, excuse me, it'll cover county, village, school?
Not village. Village, so like Massapequa Park, I think, to February, I think, sometime in February, they have, the villages have their own time, their own grievance times. So you gotta be on the lookout for it because it's not well published in a lot of villages.
But you do pay a little bit of town tax, so
Yeah.
it will pick up your county, town, and school district.
Yeah. And so when we do these sessions, I also like to talk about exemptions. So make sure, there's a lot of things that happen with exemptions. If you touch your deed, spouse passes away, you touch that deed, change it anyway, you add your kids on, you have to redo your exemptions. You have to reapply for the STAR program, all this stuff. The veterans exemptions, anything that happens, senior exemptions, I see it all the time where people come in, oh, my husband passed away, but they were getting, senior exemption, enhanced senior exemption, they were getting the STAR, enhanced STAR, they were getting all these different exemptions, and their taxes went from, $3,000 to $10,000, and the people come in crying, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it. Unfortunately, they have to know. That's why at these seminars I tell you, you touch that deed, you have to call the assessment, call the state, make sure you redo everything. People said, well, if we put things in an estate, when you touch it, call the assessment department anyway, because sometimes you put it in a trust, it shouldn't affect it when you put anything in a trust, but when you take names off or put names on, things have to get redone.
Exemption deadline is December 31st.
Yeah.
You cannot walk in on January 1st.
Yep, exemption deadlines is December 31st of every year.
And my suggestion is, if you want to file, the earlier you file your exemption papers, they can then say, oh, by the way, you're missing this, that, and the other.
Right.
If you file in the month of December, they're not going to be
Yeah,
able to do
they're not going to be able to.
You can start filing in June.
Yeah.
File early.
File early, and then they'll say, oh, you're missing this, or this. And then the STAR, make sure you get because I see so many people lose the STAR. Yeah, but that's with the state. But if,
Can you determine what exemptions you're getting by looking at your tax bills?
yes, it'll be on there. So Kathy back there, raise your hand, Kathy. She's got her laptop over here. If you want to come up to her afterwards, she'll look and tell you exactly what you're getting. Yeah, and we have all pamphlets and stuff. There's the senior exemption now. I think they raised the limit to $110,675. Is that the enhanced senior? One of them, yeah. They raised it up because some of the
Enhanced, you have to file with the state.
Yeah.
Regular senior, you
file with the county. But some of the stuff, some of these exemptions they had, you had to be living on food stamps. I don't know, but they finally raised some of these exemptions up. There's a new one that came out by the state. It's the disabled veterans that just came out. The county just approved it. I think Town of Hempstead will probably be approving it. Then I think the individual school districts have to opt into it. Some of the school districts don't opt into it because if they have a lot of people that are getting that full exemption, it hurts the regular people. So that's why some school districts don't opt into a lot of the exemptions. But 65. No, I know. It's killing me. Every time I keep getting close. I keep getting.
Not just the age.
Yeah, it's the income. Age and income. And also remember, like when you sell, I don't know if it's, someone told me if you tap into your IRA or if you don't, if you do stuff, but if you do certain things, you know, your kid needs a loan, they look at your tax returns. There's income, IRAs considered income. You know, you can say, oh, I'm only getting a couple hundred, well, I'm getting this in Social Security, but once you tap into that IRA, it's considered income.
They also look at if, for some reason, your expenses are greater than your income, but you're still paying your bills and all that, that's gonna raise a red flag.
Right. Exactly.
It's gonna raise a red flag to what?
Well, if your expenses are higher than your income, how are you paying your expenses?
Right, that means you're getting, someone's giving you money to help.
You can't show very low income thinking that'll get you approved.
Right.
Because if your you know, if your income is $20,000, but you're showing expenses
Of 30.
$30,000
Right.
that you're paying, that it's gonna look sketchy.
Means you have a cash business that you're not claiming, basically.
For senior especially, it doesn't matter how much you have in the bank. They don't look at total assets, they only look at income.
Can you just repeat about, putting if you put your house into a trust for me, what was your point behind that?
Always just check with your lawyers, check with the assessment, call assessment all the time, because you just want to make sure, anytime you touch that deed, a lot of times it's gonna, or the clerk's office more, or the, they file with the clerk's office, but check with assessment.
Every time assessment looks at a deed,
Yeah.
it's possible your exemption
Might
might be removed.
removed, right.
So you
Elaine?
wanna, if you make,
Or against, in your favor or against?
no, they'll remove.
They'll remove-
So say you have a senior exemption, and then you do a deed adding your child onto the deed or something like that. It's very possible that the assessment department will then remove the exemption. So you wanna make sure that if you do a deed change, you wanna call the exemption department in Department of Assessment, or go down there, room 402 at 240 Old Country Road is customer service, and to verify that your exemption is still in place. If not, you wanna make sure you file a new application.
Because there's no going,
If you're over 65?
No, well, that's
that's it for a senior exemption, for any exemption, if they have,
there's a disability exemption.
right.
there's a veteran exemption.
veterans exemptions, all that stuff, and they can't go back, say like, oh, they took my exempt because my husband passed away. Sorry, you have to pay that. They can't reverse and go back. Unfortunately, that has to be paid. So gotta make sure, I just see people get hurt so many times.
The customer service department at both the Assessment Review Commission and the Department of Assessment are very helpful. So if you do have time to go to 240 Old Country Road, Assessment Review Commission's on 5, Department of Assessment is on 4. They both have very good customer service if you have any questions. You can also
Yeah.
call, but I can't guarantee that you'll get through.
What, on what floor or the?
Department of Assessment for exemptions is on the 4th floor.
Right.
Can I, just give a little public service announcement? If you watch TV late at night, like I do, you're starting to see these companies that say, call us, pay us, just so, in case someone tries to change the title of your home.
The deed.
The deed, thank you. Do not do that. The county clerk's office offers a free service. You go on to Nassau County Clerk, you'll see it there. You sign up, you give them your email. They will not allow anything to happen, any changes to your deed without notifying you first. And it's free.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Also, go on to the county clerk's website and look at your deed
Yeah.
for free.
Yep.
There's no charge. All you need to know is your section, block, and lot. And you can go on and see what your mortgage said, remember you took it out 15 years ago, or you can see what the status of your deeds or mortgages are.
And you can make sure, you could have satisfied a home equity line of credit or a mortgage years ago, and it's still on your deed, and when you go to sell your house, that pops up, and sometimes these mortgage companies aren't around anymore. I've seen it, I do real estate, and it's like, Jeff, I paid that off 15 years ago. And then you gotta try to find the paperwork and get something that say they don't have a lien on it anymore, because that's what it is, your mortgage is a lien on your house, and no one's gonna buy it. No real estate attorney's gonna close on it until that's satisfied, or get a letter that it's satisfied and gone. So check on it all the time, especially if you've done a bunch of refis and if you take out HELOCs and you've paid them off and stuff, always good to just check that out. So, any other questions?
While filling out this application, if you have any questions, can you call? Since
Yep.
we not buying those.
Right there, you see,
Yep.
that's on the opening page, it says Review Commission, on the right side, it says 5713214.
Yep.
That's
Lose my pointer for the first time. Right there. Yes, ma'am.
One of the points the lawyers were telling us is that, once we get the art back, we go back and negotiate, and we know what to tell them, and, it's a back and forth kind of a discussion. If we do it ourselves, not through the lawyer, I don't know how to negotiate or how to go back and forth.
Well, they'll give you an offer. It's the same thing, they give you an offer, and if you don't like it, you go to Small Claims Assessment Review, you go to SCAR.
I want to just tell her that she's right, that, one time I went to 240 Old Country Road. I don't know who that guy was, fourth floor or the fifth floor. They took me inside, they sat me down, they opened up everything and they said, tell me what you have. So I had the comps at that time, he started measuring, okay, he's like, you have this, you have this, you have this. And and then he was so helpful, he said, this is what we're gonna offer you.
Yeah.
You wanna think about it and let me know in in 2 days? So
Yep.
that was very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. So, anybody else, any other questions? Anybody want to stick around afterwards? Oh, go ahead. But you grieve every year. They did that, it's been frozen for 5 years now. I have no idea. They don't tell us. They reassessed 5 years ago when they did it, so I don't know when nope.
No, they do assess annually,
But these,
5 years ago, literally, they went around and valued every property,
Right.
or whatever they did. That was a much bigger project than pretty much, and we have a frozen roll.
but you have a frozen roll, right?
Nothing is really,
Nothing changes.
other than what they
If,
are.
right. If you put a dormer on your house, you put an extension on your house, you added a bathroom, stuff like that, that'll change it. So, all right, if anybody wants to stick around afterwards, come on up and we'll answer some questions for you. Thank you. Yep.